Hello and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jacky Wambiru and this is Lunchtime News. Our sign language interpreter is Lensa Odingo. Well, we have a comprehensive bulletin, and to kick us off, Marsabit Governor Mohammed Ali is challenging the national government to act swiftly and arrest the insecurity situation in the county. Ali's plea comes only days after 3 people were killed in renewed clashes in the area. Religious leaders in the area are in the meantime urging locals not to fall prey to retaliatory attacks, which will only worsen things.
Marsabit Town, Marsabit County. Business operations have been grounded to a halt, with traders opting to close shop and stay home in fear of their security. Tension ignited by the killing of 3 people in the last 2 days, among them the chairperson of the Borana Peace Committee, Halake Wako, who was shot dead by unknown assailants in Saku constituency. Pressure is now mounting on the government to reinstate the Kenya Police Reservice to reinforce the security in the vast county.
At least hiyo KPRs ya mountain hii turudishiwe, na tulikuwa tunatumia hela kusaidia security team. Wakati huo kulikuwa na hali tulivu, so in a way na wamejua, na hiyo shida tumewaeleza waziwazi.
Just like in Laikipia, the people of Marsabit need all the security that they deserve and that they earn by the dint of the constitution, by being Kenyan citizens.
Sentiments echoed by a section of religious leaders who have called for a peaceful coexistence, warning locals against engaging in the retaliatory attacks. Marsabit County Commissioner Paul Rotich has warned that the government will act tough on the bloodthirsty assailants.
In other news, police in Mandera have destroyed over 20 bales of bang worth 800,000 shillings confiscated in the ongoing war against narcotics. Mandera Deputy County Commissioner Solomon Choboton says the government has intensified the war on drug trade and abuse and will not relent until the mop-up yields intended.
Up in smoke goes the bang. Quite the opposite of what its owners had hoped for. An 800,000 shillings loss, but a win for the Rapid Response Initiative. Residents kept at bay just in case someone was thinking of snipping the proceeds of this illicit trade. This is just a tip of the iceberg, says Mandera Deputy County Commissioner Solomon Cheboton.
Vita dhidi ya mambo ya utumizi wa madawa ya kulevya, sisi hatutaivumilia, tutapigana nayo kuhakikisha kuwa watu wetu wanakaa vizuri.
Cheboton says that some of these drugs are imported from Ethiopia and Somalia.
Na wale ambao watapatikana tutawafikisha mbele ya sheria washtakiwe, na wale ambao wanapanga kufanya mambo kama haya tunawadhahadharisha kuwa tukiwapata hatutawasasa, na tutasaidiana na wao wote kuhakikisha kuwa tunaangamiza hii vice ambayo inaweza angamiza vijana wetu hapa Mandera.
Hundreds of kilometers away, another mop-up. Samburu County Commissioner Jaldesa Abdiruzak is leading a team of security agencies in balancing the equilibrium to ensure a level playing field.
Na tunatarajia kwamba baada ya mwezi moja tutasafisha wale ambao wanakaidi ile amri na sheria ya mambo ya pombe na bidhaa ambazo asifai kuwa katika soko zetu.
The Rapid Response Initiative is a 30-day campaign that seeks to ensure that there is no space to run illicit business. Yusuf Far reporting for Lunchtime News.
Meanwhile, a section of residents from Korogosho in Nairobi are crying for help in repossessing what they claim is their communal land from land grabbers. They claim to have bought the land in the year 2000, but a youth gang has occupied it and demolished their office.
According to the Mashirika Slums Forum Chair Lady Anne Wambui, ownership tussle over the land located between Nairobi and Machakos counties has seen her receive threats to her life.
Ungeomba serikali ikomeze hii vijana kabisa, wajue masaba ni kununuliwa inanunuangwa na pesa unachaga kidogo kidogo, juu kama sisi ni maskini tunatoka korokocho na wengine Mathare, na tulichaga kidogo kidogo mpaka tukaweza kununua hii 7.
The group says they have tried in vain to resolve the matter through the local administration, who they now accuse of being compromised by the land grabbers.
Mtu yeyote akipiga ripoti kwa police station, wao wanamshughulikia. Aidha wakuja wajue ni nini, ni kitu gani inaendelea. Ndio wajue ni nani ana haki ya kufanya, nani mwenye shamba na nani sio mwenye shamba.
They added that this has resulted in instances of insecurity in the area, such as demolition of their structures in the land.
Sisi wametusumbua sana. Kwanza wakati hawa vijana wanakuja wanapigiwa ripoti hawakuji. Kama leo tulikuwa tunafikiria tutakuja nao. Last week tulikuwa hapa hawakuja. Walisema wakati tulikufa kwa shamba ati wamepata shughuli zingine. So they failed us. Kama na Bambagu.
On matters of health, an initiative that targets to vaccinate public service vehicle drivers and conductors has been launched in Embu County. The COVID-19 vaccination drive, spearheaded by Neno Sacco in partnership with the Ministry of Health, targets at least 700 operators in the Embu bus terminal. At the Embu Nairobi bus terminus, a tent has been set up and COVID-19 vaccination is underway. The exercise seeks to vaccinate public service vehicle drivers and conductors.
Kuhakikisha madrivers, conductors, staff na wafanyabiashara walio karibu na stages zetu wamekuwa vaccinated against COVID-19. Tunatarajia kulingana na ile nafasi madaktari wanapatikana, tutaendelea na hiyo nafasi ili tuone ya kwamba kila mtu amepata nafasi ya kuchanjwa.
Neno Sacco chairman Dennis Mutembe is stating the initiative was launched to allow the drivers who barely have time and are always on the road to get vaccinated, adding that they are targeting at least 700 public service vehicle operators at the terminal.
Madrivers na maconductors wetu sio watu wa kukaa katika kikao kimoja, kila wakati wako kwa safari. Kwa hivyo wengi wanatuambia wanakosa nafasi ama muda wa kwenda kuhudumiwa kwa daktari, na kwa hivyo tukaona ni mzuri tuwaletee, tuongee na Wizara ya Afya ya Embu County tuweze kuwaletea hiyo huduma karibu na wao.
Operators lauded the move by the Ministry of Health, adding that myths surrounding the jabs had prevented them from getting vaccinated, but after sensitization by health officials, they were now ready to get vaccinated.
Gonjwa iko. Ite serious iko. Watu wandungwe. Ni vile kukosa ile nafasi. Dereva wanakimbizana na namba zake na ruti zake. Ndio apate yake ya jioni. Lakini sasa vile tumetuletea hapa kwa nyumba, sasa tunaona tu tulungwe.
The Kenya National Highways Authority is in the process of building monuments along the Mau Mau designated roads in the memory of Kenya's freedom fighters. This follows a request from Mau Mau freedom fighters to have monuments of the fallen heroes and heroines ached not just in memory but on infrastructure as well.
In a meeting with Mau Mau Freedom Fighters Association and cultural groups in Kiambu and Nyandarua counties, Engineer Henry Ngugi Gakuru, who is in charge of design and planning at Kenha, said they will honor their request.
Culture na national heritage kupitia ujenzi wa hiyo barabara na pia ujenzi wa museum halls or museum centers. Tuko na mpango ya kufanya hizo museums katika county zote ine zenye zinashikanishwa na hii barabara ya Mau Mau Road, zenye ziko Kiambu, tunashikanisha pamoja na Nyandarua na tunashikanisha na Murang'a na Nyeri.
Ruben Kungu Gishangi from Kenya Unity for Memorial Peace Heritage and Cultural Organization says preservation of historical sites was overdue and it was a good thing the government had agreed to build monuments.
Mahali hapa tunahitaji na tunasema ni lazima sasa tujenge dingira. Na tena hata kunyenyekea kwa serikali, hawa wazee walio mahali hapa waweze tu kukumbukwa, waweze tu siku moja wakajulikana walifanya kazi, kwa maana wengi walifanya kazi, wanalia na hatutaki hiyo kilio iendelee.
The cultural groups further called upon the government to convert sites such as Githunguri Teachers Training College that were used as concentration camps for captured Mau Mau freedom fighters into museums. For Lunchtime News, I am Frederick Parsayo.
September is a Deaf Awareness Month dedicated to raising public awareness on people, issues, culture and heritage pertaining to the deaf community. Well, we now join our reporter Wycliffe Okech in Homa Bay County, where an event is underway to commemorate Deaf Awareness. Well, Wycliffe, if you can hear me, kindly bring us to speed.
Well, thank you, Jacky Wambiru. I can hear you pretty well. Like you put it outright, that it is the International Week of Awareness for the deaf community, for deaf people actually. And just underway here is a plenary discussion looking into the affairs or the issues that are affecting the thriving deaf communities. And that is the overriding theme for this year, where they are celebrating actually the thriving of deaf communities. And that on that note, Jacky, you will allow me to engage just right away the chairperson, Peter Mushiri, the chairperson for the National Council for Persons with Disabilities, Mr. Peter Mushiri. Welcome, and you're live on KBC Channel 1.
Thank you.
The overriding theme for this year is to celebrate actually the thriving deaf communities. In your capacity as the national chair, what would you make of the progress for the promotion of the affairs of the deaf people in the country?
Thank you so much. First of all, let me say this, that sign language is the official language in this country. But so many people tend to forget that sign language is used with a lot of people, by a lot of people in this country. And number one, we as a council, we have tried to make a lot of awareness around deaf people. And persons with deaf challenges actually encounter a lot of problems. And we as a council, when we are celebrating International Deaf Week, we are trying to make sure that we are bringing this into the doorstep of each and every citizen of this country. Why are we doing this? Because persons with deaf challenges face a lot of challenges. And there is time as a council we usually say a deaf person does not have a secret. Why? Because if this person wants to go to a doctor and want to share his secret, and you see, some of these things are very secretive, he can't, because he will need an interpreter. And as a council, we are trying to create this awareness around government and even private sector, so that at least we can get many and many persons who know this language of interpretation. And we have taken a lot of programs, and we have been facing challenges for our deaf brothers and sisters. Recently, when you look at when His Excellency the President mentioned about the curfew, there is a person in Kisumu who was deaf, and a policeman actually beat that guy so much, and we didn't understand, because he cannot talk. So, and the police is implementing a presidential order. So this is why we are doing this, because this is celebrated across the world. Yes.
Mr. Peter Mushiri, just alongside that, there is an issue that has caused public uproar currently in the country, and that is the CBC new curriculum, the CBC. For the community of the persons living with disabilities, what would you make of the correlation between the CBC and whether the new curriculum actually caters to the needs of persons with disabilities, especially the deaf community?
Thank you so much. The CBC, let me say, it's a good curriculum, and we have been having participation as a council and also as persons with disability around this curriculum, on how best persons with disabilities can be incorporated into this new curriculum. And I usually challenge even the able bodies, because when you look persons with disability, we have different challenges, and persons with disability are the most best who can actually feature into the new curriculum, because I challenge even you. When you want to actually to get a drawing, you use your hands, but you can get a person with disability who doesn't have both arms, and he can draw with his mouth. So some of these curriculum which the government is introducing, they are a good curriculum, but also it needs a lot of consultation together with the council and the stakeholders.
Very right. Just one more before I let you go. What is the critical thing at the moment that you will probably want the government to focus on to improve probably the affairs of the people living with disabilities? The one critical thing.
Yeah, the one critical thing is about the awareness and the disability mainstreaming across the board. I'll not say about the government, but also even the private sector, even us in our own houses. Do we have this accessibility for persons with disability? I have come to learn also in Homa Bay County about the budget making process. Persons with disability are not involved. And this is a challenge because this is clearly in our constitution that citizens have the right of participation in the budget making process. And we shall be following this because we want our people, the deaf community, and also persons with disabilities in our country to be involved in this process.
Wow, that is very right. Thank you, Mr. Peter Mushiri. Jackie, that is Mr. Peter Mushiri putting for us into perspective the affairs, or rather the current state of the community of the people living with disabilities, especially the deaf community. He is calling upon all stakeholders, including the government and even the general public, actually, to be sensitive enough to the affairs and the needs of this community, because for the country to achieve equality in every sector, be it education, be it in employability, it needs that we get sensitive enough to the affairs and needs of this particular community. Jackie, on that point, just allow me to hand it back to you so that you can continue with the rest of the bulletin. Jackie.
Well, thank you so much, Wycliffe Okech, there, coming from Homa Bay County, where celebrations of the thriving deaf community is underway as Kenya joins the world in marking Deaf Awareness Month. Well, on that note, we'll take a short break. Don't go too far. We'll be back with more news.
Disease is the world's #1 killer, claiming nearly 17 million lives every year.
When the blood comes back from the body to the heart, all the oxygen has been extracted from the blood, and it's really coming now to the heart to get replenished with the oxygen, right?
What are the long-term complications?
So people with heart disease generally face premature disability.
You didn't tell me it was this breathtaking.
Maridadi ndio hayo. This week on Zurura, we visit a not too distant relative.
Ndo nimeambiwa story mingi kuhusu.
We also dig deep to discover our African roots and venture into the devil's kitchen.
Tumeingia kitchen.
That's coming right up on Zurura. Find your adventure.
That's an hour of time we don't have, Farah. I say we listen to what Kenyanjui has to say, right?
How about we focus on the task at hand?
Will you come off my back, Katito? I am a woman, I can multitask.
Now that you guys have all of a sudden decided to be Mother Teresa's, let me take my leave.
What kind of nonsense is this? Eh? Why can't you just speak normally?
Masefara, shut up, you're not the director.
Atito. Will you pay attention? Eh? You are just about to arrest him.
I shall do no such a thing.
Goodbye.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Welcome back. Now let's proceed. A section of leaders from Laikipia County have hailed the leasing program from the Leasing Association of Kenya as it has helped accelerate the improvement of roads across the county. The leaders challenged other county governments to embrace the program, saying the system will enable counties concentrate on other core services.
Flagging off the last bunch of 5 tippers to complete the Mashinani brigades from Isuzu, Kenya at Romoruti town, Laikipia Governor Ndereto Moreithi said the county government should not only depend on equitable share from the national government, but also embrace programs that can help them accelerate service delivery.
You cannot just depend on equitable share. First of all, you have to raise your own resources in taxes as own source revenue. Secondly, you have to look for financial products that can work, like leasing.
Moreithi said that since his administration embraced the leasing program, the county government has been able to accelerate rehabilitation of rural roads and connecting them to main towns in a shorter time.
In the 2 weeks since we took delivery of another batch of 6 trucks, and we headed to Olmoran because of the circumstance there, and we thank the honorable members for understanding that we needed to put a bit of focus there to improve on the security situation.
So wananchi wa Laikipia, kama kwako barabara ijaundwa, sasa ujue we are coming. Tunakuja kwako. Very soon utasikia gari zikiguruma na barabara ikinyoroshwa. Kwa sababu hiyo ndio ile kazi sisi tunataka kutekeleza.
Isuzu Kenya Division Director for Sales and Marketing Wanjohi Kangangi said leasing has enhanced efficiency.
Isuzu lasts for 20-30 years. So in 5 years, these vehicles will still be very new. So it means that there will be very limited downtime and they will be able to do the work that the residents of Laikipia expect of a good quality machine.
The county plans to have 2 brigades in Laikipia East, 2 in Laikipia West and 1 in Laikipia North. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Wambui Otiende.
Still on matters of health, Kirinyaga County will soon have a hospital with intensive care unit and high dependency unit. County Governor Anne Waiguru, during an inspection tour of Kerugoya Level 5 Hospital, said patients who have been traveling to neighboring counties to treat cancer-related illnesses will in the next 3 months access services in Kerugoya. Governor Waiguru said she had anticipated the health center be opened by the President during a Mashujaa Day celebrations, but it seems the work will have to continue for another 3 months.
The hospital to be finished in the next 2 to 3 months, and in this hospital, Kirinyaga never had ICU. We will have an ICU. We will have a HDU. We will have a special ward for burns. We'll have a pediatric ward. We'll have a maternity unit. We are even looking to have an oncology ward as well for special treatment of those who have diseases such as cancer. And so we are looking into finishing it and to ensuring that it is open.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is accusing the private sector of fueling corruption at border points. EACC officials who had toured Busia border claimed unscrupulous individuals use shortcuts to circumvent the law, denying the country the much-needed revenue.
Speaking at Busia border during the sensitization exercise, Solomon Etela, a senior officer at EACC, claimed most business people collude with government officials to evade paying taxes at the points of entry, denying the government 30% of the national revenue. Eunice Ndingo, who is also an officer at the commission, said focus now is on border points because many government departments are lumped together, hence making it a target for the corrupt to continue with their illicit trade.
Corruption is not a blame on government. The business people in the private sector contribute to it. They supply. They're the ones doing business. They could be bribe a government officer. But I know as a country, we lose a lot through what we call revenue leakages.
Tulikuja kuelimisha wananchi waweze kujua jukumu lao la
Chief Justice Martha Koome has said COVID-19 pandemic was a silver lining in making justice more accessible to the public. Speaking at the Southern African Chief Justices Forum in Zimbabwe, the CJ said the courts have embraced technology, taking services closer to people, but the only challenges has been internet penetration and power connectivity among the rural population.
Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya.
While chairing a panel discussion on country perspectives and experiences in the use of technology and online services, including online courts, during the annual Southern African Chief Justices Forum at Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe, Chief Justice Martha Koome said African countries have challenges of internet and power connectivity, which affects access to justice for majority of litigants in the rural settings.
Everybody is embracing innovative ways of how to use the government facilities, the government services, and also leveraging on the fact that everybody has a mobile phone, a device that can be used to access e-services, can also access e-judiciary services.
Koome noted that judiciaries in Africa should harness solar power and leverage on existing infrastructure to make justice more accessible to many.
So we have to be innovative. We've been talking to people who are offering services in those remote areas, because you find a bank in those remote areas offering services. How do they get there such that we, the judiciary, cannot get there?
She said the world is moving and the court cannot afford to remain behind in delivering on its mandate.
We have to embrace technology, and since we have embraced it now because of this COVID, we are not going to leave it. We are going to continue using it because it has proved to be a true enabler to access to justice when it comes to reducing even the distance that people have to cover to come to our courts.
Beatrice Gatonyangetich, Lunchtime News.
Justice Nakuru County Commissioner Erastus Mbowe has warned politicians against sowing division in the region ahead of next year's polls. Mbowe says there has been a growing trend of anarchy being spread by politicians, something which needs to stop.
While addressing election stakeholders, Nakuru County Commissioner Erastus Mbowe called on political class to focus on preaching peace. Mbowe cautioning political parties against deviating from their manifestos to hooliganism during their campaigns.
If you look at the dialogue of the talk that is there today, nothing much about the manifestos and all that. Members of the public do not go into those details, because that is what is supposed to be, showing the difference between them. All that we are talking is talking, and actually you can't make much difference between the various parties.
The commissioner adding that a crackdown on rogue politicians would begin in Nakuru, with political parties urged to bar such leaders from vying for elective positions.
Look at these youth as they play, as they interact. We have nothing for sure. But when you look at where their problems emanate, there is an invisible hand, because even the attacks themselves are invisible. Could there be somebody engineering something? These are some of the things that one DCI, the NCIC, the Kenya Police, we are supposed really to understand and pursue the culprits, because they are there. Na saa zingine wananchi wanasema hii tumesikia hii tunajua.
We need to extend this conversation to the grassroots level, from the boardroom to the grassroots. So we shall be going to make sure that this conversation reaches our 55 wards.
We find out that most youth are being used by our political leaders in this way. Most of the youths are used to easy money, and the politicians give them easy money, not knowing and for them not understanding that easy money that you'll use it in a short timeline.
So we have gathered that it is important. We need to organize ourselves as youth, have the right information, and to avoid being misused by selfish political leaders who want to just use us as a stepping ground.
Nancy Okware, Lunchtime News.
Away from the political arena, the government has urged Narok County residents to control burning of vegetation in the region. Farmers are being advised to shun fire-related activities in land preparation and instead collect and dispose of the weed.
Narok County Conservator Safari Opio says burning of weed will exacerbate the ongoing drought.
Kuna kiangazi kingi sehemu nyingi. Kwa hivyo tunaambia wakulima wale ambao wanatengeneza mashamba yao wajaribu wasitumie moto kwa sababu kuna upepo mwingi na huo upepo huenda ikasambaza moto na ikadhuru sehemu nyingi za msitu na pia manyumba zetu.
Opio discouraged charcoal burning and cedar tree harvesting because the species take long to mature.
Tunajaribu kuwahimiza wawache kukata miti na kuchoma makaa. Ni heri utumie miti kwa kuni kuliko kuchoma makaa ambayo ni uharibifu na pia.
Meanwhile, representatives drawn from 9 community-based organizations in Narok County have benefited from a 3-day training on tree nursery establishment by the National Environment Trust Fund. Speaking after the training, Gloria Macau, the Resource Mobilization Officer Trust Fund, said she is optimistic that through the program, Narok County shall be able to produce 1 million seedlings ahead of the rains season.
Implementation of this program, we are hoping that Narok County is going to be able to produce at least 1 million seedlings for planting through the help of our partners, Kenya Forest Service and KEFRI.
Makikundi tofauti katika hii Kenya yetu akishikana pamoja na kufanya kama net fund, dunia mzima inaweza kuwa na positive changes kwa mambo ya mazingira.
The program seeks to ensure government's 10% forest cover directive is met by 2022 within arid and semi-arid counties. Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
Youths from the coast region are set to acquire entrepreneurship skills under the Go Blue project that now aims at establishing biashara centers at all county vocational centers of excellence. Jumuiya County's Pwani Go Blue project coordinator Yashpal Gai said the project, which is being implemented by the Youth Empowerment Institute, is set to train over 2,700 youths by providing them with skills to be used in improving employment and livelihoods.
Under the Go Blue project, youth will acquire skills that will promote growth of micro and small medium enterprises in the 4 predetermined sectors of the regional bloc, namely transport and logistics, maritime security, vessel repair maintenance, and matters hospitality. Officials from Tana River and Taita Taveta counties say the move will help alleviate poverty and empower the youth.
And these biashara centers are going to serve young people in terms of helping them to learn more about businesses, licenses, the procedures of doing the businesses. Actually, it's like adding ease to doing or setting up startups.
Matumaini yetu ya kwamba mradi ikishafaulu baada ya vijana kutimiza wataweza kutumia ujuzi wao kujitafutia maisha.
Meanwhile, Konza Technopolis Development Authority, through the Special Economic Zones Association, seeks to accelerate development and investment in the country. Konza Technopolis Development Authority CEO Engineer John Tanui noted that the engagement is envisioned to propel the joint development of the smart cities.
Before an investor decides whether to go to Tatu City or to come to Konza Technopolis, first they must come to Kenya. And for this reason, we saw it's important for us to work more closely.
So far, 64 companies have already taken space at Tatu City. For Lunchtime News, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Now let's talk business. Technology has helped reduce the cost of house construction by more than 3 times, with the 2-bedroom house now being built within 8 days and at a cost of 1.1 million shillings. Housing Principal Secretary Charles Hinga says this is thanks to partnerships the government forged with the private sector and other partners that has drastically reduced costs for the affordable housing project.
Housing Principal Secretary Charles Hinga says the government estimated that it required 1.2 trillion shillings to finance construction of the 500,000 housing units. He says this is because in 2018 it cost about 80,000 shillings per square meter to construct houses in Kenya. The costs are reduced by more than 3 times in as many years as the government embraced partnerships with the private sector as well as other partners under the affordable housing project being implemented by the country, whose main target is to have Kenyans living in decent housing.
Affordable housing is not government coming to build a house for you. Affordable housing is government enabling you to have choice of technologies, lowering the cost of construction like we have done, giving you various incentives so that you can go and make sure you live in a high quality of life.
Hinga says technology is helping reduce the duration it takes to construct houses, and costs with the 2-bedroom house now have been drastically reduced over the last 3 years.
In 2018, that unit will have cost you 3.6 million shillings. The numbers that I'm being given is just about 1.1 million for a 2-bedroom house.
This particular innovation and the technology will be exposed to our contractors. So we need to have a program that can also integrate them so that they can easily assimilate into the market.
Following the interventions that have cut the cost of house construction, the government is now requiring contractors to pass on the benefits to Kenyans eyeing affordable housing projects.
We have a new housing scheme coming up at the old meteorological site. And we tendered at a price of 25,000 shillings per square meter. We actually put it in the RFP document.
He, however, acknowledges that the high cost of land in Kenya has been a key challenge since most landowners hold it for speculation purposes.
And why is land so important? It is important because a study came out sometime in 2019 that showed Nairobi has the most expensive land in the continent right now.
Still on the same, the cost of construction could reduce if prices of key components such as cement are decreased. Despite the construction boom during the pandemic, the price of cement has increased due to higher costs of key imported raw materials such as clinker and logistical challenges due to the COVID-19 disruptions. The latest data indicates that the construction sector grew 11.8% last year as cement consumption increased to 7.4 million tons.
Data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics indicate that cement production rose 21.3% last year to reach 7.47 million tons from 6.16 million tons in 2019, as the construction sector bore minimal impact as a result of the pandemic. On the other hand, price of a ton of cement increased by 118 shillings to 12,187 shillings, a factor being blamed on the higher cost of inputs such as clinker, a key raw material used in cement production. While higher prices has been driven by logistical challenges in importing clinker during the pandemic, costlier cement is due to raw material whose import duty is at 10%. In 2020, Kenya's cement clinker import rose to 2 million tons from 1.8 million tons the previous year, while a total value rose from 8.4 billion shillings to 8.6 billion shillings. This, according to Ian Joroge, a registered engineer, could increase further. Njoroge says cement manufacturers are paying 10% import duty to bring in nearly 2 tons of clinker annually, while National Cement and Mombasa Cement plants remain underutilized. Several firms have announced plans to expand their clinker capacities by 2023, and these will send production capacity to 10.7 million tons, further adding to idle capacity. Cement consumption rose significantly from 6.1 million tons in 2019 to 7.4 million tons in 2020, representing an increase of 20.3%. During the period, the price of a ton of clinker rose 6.8% to 4,619 shillings. According to Njoroge, clinker imports into the country equals job exports and loss of foreign exchange needed to support the shilling. In 2018, National Simba Cement established a 2.8 billion shillings clinker factory in Kajiado with a capacity to produce 1.2 million tons of clinker annually.
A further reduction in the cost of cement as part of our collective effort to bring the cost of building materials within the reach of those ready to put their efforts and capital into building new homes and businesses.
Bamburi, East African Portland Cement, Mombasa Cement and National Cement also have clinker production lines.
4,500 flower farm workers are set to benefit from new energy sources in a movement to promote clean and sustainable energy. Among the farms that would benefit from the 5-year program Kitty, run by Fair Trade Africa, are Aquila and Sian in Nakuru and Penta and Sembi Flowers in Murang'a County. These and more in our Business News Roundup.
Under the Kenya Rose project that is run by Fair Trade Africa, 4,500 workers from 4 flower farms in Nakuru and Murang'a counties will benefit from cooking gas and solar panels for use in their homes. This comes at a time when the price of cooking gas have risen sharply, forcing families to use firewood, raising fears of eroding gains made in increasing the current forest cover. According to Fair Trade Africa, they are keen to have workers shift from the perennial use of fuel like kerosene to clean energy.
It would be important to enhance awareness of effects of conventional cooking energy that majority of us rely on in our households, which eventually emit harmful gases that cumulatively lead to climate change.
2% of the green gas emissions are from the agricultural sector, and the effect of greenhouse gas emissions is actually climate variability, or what is called climate change. Why? It's because of interruptions from the single units of users of charcoal and other non-conventional non-clean energy sources.
Meanwhile, mobile games development company Usiku Games has developed a new game to help school-going children learn sign language and help them to communicate and connect with friends with hearing impairment. Dubbed TZ Sign Language, the edutainment games target children from grade 1 to grade 6 in primary school to teach them the basics of sign language in alphabet and numbers through fun and interactive gaming schemes. Finally, Family Bank has expanded its branch network to 93 branches across the country with the opening of a new branch in Isiolo County. CEO Rebecca Mbidi says the lender is focusing on funding the growth of small businesses who are 80% of the bank's customer base.
Tumeona wengi wenyu ni wakuzaji wa mifugo. Tumesema tumekuja. Na Family Bank pali tunapoenda tunakaa na jamii ilipo hapo, tunawatengenezea vitu ambavyo vitawafaa.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has challenged global financial institutions to ramp up investments in agriculture as part of their support for African economies. In a pre-recorded video statement delivered Thursday evening during the virtual inaugural United Nations Food System Summit held on the margins of the ongoing 76th United Nations General Assembly, the President urged financial institutions to support the innovation and design of appropriate mechanisms that will help eliminate risks and losses in Africa's agricultural sector.
To support transformation of our economies, I would like to challenge our global financial institutions to innovate and to design appropriate de-risking and financing instruments for increased investment in agriculture. We are also engaging youth in agriculture. The launch of our 4K clubs and our young farmers clubs will engage the youth in the food production cycle, ignite their passion for agriculture. We are also increasing access to nutritious foods and diversifying the diet by bringing back forgotten and neglected traditional foods, investing in fisheries, aquaculture, livestock, fruit and vegetable farming.
And in the sports arena, the 2021-2022 FKF Premier League season kicks off this weekend with 9 matches on card. Former league champions Gor Mahia will kick off their campaign against KCB. 2009 champions Sofapaka will take on City Stars, while defending champions Tusker FC will face AFC Leopards on Sunday at the Nyayo National Stadium. The pressure continued to grow on Barcelona boss Ronald Koeman after his side were held to a frustrating goalless draw at lowly Cadiz. Barcelona now have just 2 wins from 5 La Liga matches as speculation mounts over Koeman's future.
Numerous late chances, having defended deep for the majority. Alvaro Negredo, Salvi Sanchez and Anthony Lozano were all denied by Ter Stegen, while at the other end, Dipe was guilty of squandering several good opportunities for Barcelona side, lacking quality but full of fight. The frustration got to better for Koeman in injury time, as he was sent from the sidelines for arguing against a late booking for Sergio Busquets. Barcelona now have just 2 wins from 5 La Liga matches as speculations mount over Koeman's future. Daniel Mwendwa, Sports.
High-flying Chelsea are targeting a record 4 consecutive victories against Manchester City in all competitions for the first time since an 8-match sequence